See at the end of the service. Yeah. 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 remember they used to have a tree here. This is much more pleasant. That was kind of grotesque inside.
Just a quick reminder, if you have a cell phone, please turn it on either vibrate or off totally. Thank you.
As Cantor Rosenbaum began this funeral service for Jack Wohl by chanting Psalm 23 in the Hebrew Please join me in the English. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's hard to say goodbye to such a tremendous man. Jack was truly one of a kind, and he lived life his way. We gather today to share words of praise, of honor, of gratitude and thanks, and of love, and to be strengthened and supported as we pay tribute to Jack Wohl, a beloved son, a beloved brother, a beloved husband, a beloved father, a beloved grandfather, a beloved uncle, a beloved coach, and beloved friend. We offer our deepest condolences to Jack's family, to the love of his life, Ellen. You were each other's best friends. He was the source material for your book. Married for more than 48 years. 47 years, sorry, I gave you an extra half a year, sorry. Condolences to the apples of his eye, his children and their spouses who were like his own, Ricky and Molly, Lindsay and Jason. To the diamonds in his crown, his grandchildren, Brody, Reese, Miles, Addie, Brennan, and Cal. To Ellen's siblings, who were more than in-laws, they were his siblings. To Paula and Randy, Cindy and Les, and to all the adoring nieces, nephews, and friends. Jack returns to his parents of blessed memory, Ann and Al, his sister Terry, and all those who have gone before to heaven. This morning we have a very special family tribute from Jack's nephew, Andrew. We're going to call him up now.
This is not a eulogy, a hesped in Hebrew. This is not a eulogy for two reasons. The first is a technical matter. Today is Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the Jewish month of Sivan. It is an otherwise normatively happy day. But eulogies in the Jewish tradition are meant to invoke tears and sadness. So the rabbinic sages did not want to detract from the joy of the day by saying eulogies at funerals. The second is perhaps more relevant for us. I really don't think Uncle Jack would have wanted me or anyone in this room to eulogize him. He was too fun-loving, too proud for someone to eulogize him. It doesn't feel right. Instead, what I thought I'd do is try to capture my Uncle Jack's attitude towards life, his philosophy, and try to see if we can glean certain takeaways or lessons that we can each learn from and carry forward with us. Perhaps lessons are fitting because Uncle Jack, or UJ as we sometimes called him, was actually trained as a teacher. He earned a degree in education from Kent State. But let's be honest, his style was less teacher and more camp counselor. Indeed, he met Aunt Ellen at day camp, where both were working as camp counselors. He carried a camp counselor flair throughout his life. He loved to have fun, usually in a slightly mischievous way. One time, coming home from then an Indians game, he spotted in the car next to us Ted Henry, the great local Cleveland broadcaster. Uncle Jack yelled, "Let's follow him!" And a minor car chase ensued. I don't remember how that night ended. I don't think he got arrested. But it was one of the most fun nights I had as an 8-year-old. Another time, My mom was driving me down Cedar Road on a gray Sunday morning. The big local news that day in Cleveland Heights was that an entire house was being lifted off of its foundation and moved a few miles to another lot. As we were driving, we spotted none other than Uncle Jack with his Beth Am Sunday school class walking to catch a sight of the house. "What are you doing, Uncle Jack?" "We're taking a field trip." He worked for many years at the federal courthouse, and I had the opportunity to shadow him once in 8th grade. It wasn't clear to me at the time exactly what his job was, except for maybe organizing the Northern District's volleyball and softball leagues with the law clerks. He also complained about having to remember so many damn passwords. But I think he liked his job. It seemed like he knew everyone at the courthouse. He'd stop and chat with judges, lawyers, clerks, secretaries, janitors. It was a skill that came naturally to him. He loved to kibitz and to shoot the breeze, so much so that Ricky and Lindsay came up with a quip when he perhaps talked a little too much. "Yeah, Jack." He loved it. The catchphrase became his license plate. He coached Little League football, used to throw us around in the pool, body slam the dog. That's how I, and I think most people, knew UJ. Fun-loving, positive, funny, laid back, great hair. But he had many challenges for many years, particularly with respect to his physical and mental health. It's a credit to his toughness and fierceness that I, and maybe a lot of people here, didn't know the extent of those challenges. I learned a lot about him and Aunt Ellen after reading her book, Snap Out of It, available on Amazon. It's not an easy read, but I recommend it. One of Uncle Jack's often repeated lines was, "Where there's a wool, there's a way." After reading the book, that line took on a whole new meaning for me. He was a fighter. He was tough. He defied medical experts and consistently beat the odds. I don't know the exact numbers, but I would bet that statistically, a person with his medical history should not have lived as long as he did. And when I'd see him, I'd ask him, "How you doing, Uncle Jack?" He always said the same thing. "I'm great. What could be bad?" I think it's clear from where he drew his strength. In the earlier years, Aunt Ellen, Ricky, and Lindsay, of course. And in the more recent years, Molly and Jason, Addie, Brennan, and Cal, Brody, Reese, and Miles. His family was everything to him. He spoke about his grandkids all the time. All the time. He loved them to no end. And I believe they were the driving factor behind his tireless will these last few years. He was the last remaining member of his own family, outliving his sister and parents. Perhaps in an effort to connect to them in recent years, he delved into researching his family history and lineage. He discovered tons of new relatives, some living great distances, and some living right in Beechwood. One of the more interesting discoveries he made is that he is a descendant of a famous 17th century rabbi and Kabbalist, known as the Shlach HaKadosh. Someone pointed out to me that the custom of reciting one of the Shlach's prayers, a prayer that parents say for the success and protection of their children, is recited on the eve of the first day of the month of Sivan, which this year fell out on this past Thursday evening, about the same time Uncle Jack passed away. A few people had mentioned to me in the last few days that he always said he wouldn't leave this world from his heart issues, but from a freak accident. Perhaps he had the foresight of a great Kabbalist that was programmed in his DNA. In reflecting on Uncle Jack's life and personality, I was reminded of an idea I heard about the upcoming holiday of Shavuot, which we will celebrate this week, and which on a very basic level commemorates the Jewish people receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai. One of the customs of Shavuot is to decorate our homes and synagogues with beautiful flowers and greenery. Where did this custom come from? On a surface level, it might be very clear. We're in the late spring, early summer months. Everything in nature is blooming, and perhaps the decorations simply reflect the seasonal reality that we are currently in. But some commentators suggest a deeper reason. Perhaps it is an allusion to a midrash that states that at the time of the giving of the Torah, when the Jews were in the desert wilderness, standing at the foot of Mount Sinai, the mountain miraculously sprouted flowers and greenery. The idea of the midrash is simple and beautiful. Just as flowers miraculously grew in the desert at the time of the giving of the Torah, so too can Torah grow anywhere. I think this idea captures the essence of Uncle Jack. Where there's a wolf, there's a way. Despite the harsh conditions of a desert, he flourished. Despite the unimaginable challenges he faced, he maintained his humor and strength. My blessing for all of us is that if we face a challenge or setback in the future, that perhaps we can be a little bit more like my Uncle Jack, to maintain our positivity and humor, to seek out the fun and goodness, even when things become difficult. May we only see and share in simchas and happiness together. Amen.
Andrew, thank you for that beautiful tribute on behalf of the family to your Uncle Jack. Generous and loving, Jack was one of a kind, genuine. You knew what you got from him was truly him. He was simply good, a mensch, a good guy, a good neshama. He had the biggest heart, even if it needed a little medical help every once in a while. You knew Jack for his smile, always smiling. He was known for his smile. He loved life and he loved you. He was funny, he could be silly. He had a bit of a wild, mischievous side, as you already heard from his nephew. You could always tell that by his smile. He was a jokester, cheerful and happy. He could talk your ear off, known as Motor Mouth in college. He loved sports, playing sports, coaching sports, watching sports. He was on every softball team. If there was a game, he would be in the middle of it. And he taught his kids, always keep a baseball glove in your car, because you never know when you're going to need it. You already heard he was tough, brave, and strong, overcoming so many health problems. He was a survivor, resilient, the Energizer Bunny. He would always bounce back. As a grandkid said, Grandpa was rock solid. That was the word they kept saying on Friday when we met, and he most certainly was. For Jack, family was everything, devoted and loyal. He loved his children and his grandchildren. His favorite times were playing with you, coaching you, and just being with you. He grew up here in Cleveland, graduated from Brush High School, as you heard, graduated from Kent State with a degree in elementary education. He didn't make it as a teacher because there weren't any jobs at the time. He began working at Sam's World of Golf, then Revco, and then the federal courts, as you said. He loved his job. He could tell the judges what to do. He even had the judge's stamp and could use it when needed. He really scheduled cases and hearings, and he was respected, always helpful to all parties, the judges, the lawyers, and those coming to the hearings. You heard he met Ellen at work, not in the courts, but as a camp counselor at Annisfield. Just after graduating from college, as Ellen told me, it took us 2 summers to meet. You didn't pay attention to him that first year, you said, Ellen. But the story goes that in the second year, for the 4th of July, you and your camp friends decided to go away to Holiday Sands. And your friends said, why don't we invite Jack to come with us? Ellen thought, well, he's sweet, he's funny, he's nice, he's cute, he's got pretty blue eyes. Why not? He's a great counselor with the kids. So the friends called the house. This was before cell phones and texting. It happened that Jack's mother answered the phone, and she wouldn't call for him. She wouldn't hand the phone over or put him on. But finally, Jack overheard the call and yelled, "Don't hang up!" He grabbed the phone, he said yes, and joined the group. Ellen, you told me there were lots of fireworks at July 4th, and you two were engaged 2 months later in September, married a year later on November 23rd, 1975 at Taylor Road Synagogue. A perfect match, just right for each other, fitting perfectly, a love that we could all see. Excellent dance partners, swing, country line dancing, even the electric slide. People would love to watch you swing. You bowl together, you watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy together. Supportive spouses, always there for each other. Ellen, you shared that Jack was very supportive of your career and your writing. The best father, Ricky and Lindsay, you told me Dad was supportive of everything that you ever wanted to do. He'd leave work early to see your games. He coached all your teams while you were growing up, and he took you on adventures. Whenever Ellen would have to travel for work, Dad didn't want to have to clean up the house before she got back. So he would check into a hotel with the kids. But not just any hotel. Jack would take you to the Holodome because it had an indoor pool, miniature golf, an arcade, and even the one with the bowling alley. And on the way, he would stop off at the drugstore and buy you a huge basket of candy to bring to the hotel. You had so much fun with Dad. And guess what? When Mom got home, the house was clean. He loved playing and coaching you, football in the front yard, catches after dinner in the yard where he made a pitcher's mound or on the street, and he became everyone's coach on the street, in the neighborhood, and across the city. He'd organize games. He'd say, "Those that don't do, teach." It was Camp Jack or Camp Wall for other neighbors' kids. A fun dad, not the disciplinarian. We know who that probably was. When he got angry or frustrated, he wouldn't yell or scream. He would simply bite his finger, and you knew what that meant. An overprotective father. When Lindsay started driving, he basically got you a tank to make sure you would be safe. He advised his kids to always learn from experts, seek their opinion, and then shut up and listen. Dad was always looking out for you, a good person to bounce off ideas, help steer you, make the right choices, whether it was buying your first house or anything else. You shared with me wonderful memories of those family trips while growing up in the conversion band, driving down to Florida to see his parents, always finding a carnival or amusement park to go with a Ferris wheel, your annual trips to Disney on New Year's Eve. He always loved Mickey Mouse. His nephew Jeremy summed it up this way: Jack was the uncle that we all strive to be. The grandchildren really were his life and his light. He lived for them, whether it was watching Guardians games together, calling Steve and Quan Stevie, watching cartoons with them, texting sports scores with Brennan, playing Uno with you and never being able to beat Addie. Playing War, he was unbeatable at that game, but he could never beat Cal at the dice game. All Jack ever wanted was to be with the grandkids. He would watch all your sports games, and when he would call Lindsay or Ricky, his first question was, of course, about the grandkids. The first picture ever taken of the oldest grandchild, Addie, Grandpa Jack made you smile, and he always did to the end. He loved babysitting all of you, going to recess, soccer games. He'd call you his own, like my Brody or my Miles. Jack liked to gamble, and he always won. He liked to travel. He loved looking at himself in the mirror, getting a suntan, and fixing his hair. He loved the Beechwood pool, but hated escalators. He enjoyed being an usher at Beth Am because he didn't actually have to pray. And as his nephew Andrew said, he was famous for teaching Sunday school. He would take attendance at Sunday school at Beth Am by having the kids predict the Browns or the Indians score. But he got in trouble because the principal thought he was taking bets from the kids. He was a great friend known to many as Jackie. A good artist known for his doodling and his calligraphy. He decorated the kids' lunch bags, do the wedding and B'nai Mitzvah invitations. He certainly left his mark in Jack's own unique way. His smile lives on. For when we recall Jack, how can you not smile? He lived with kindness, vibrancy, positivity, even through toughness, always bouncing back. He truly was the Energizer Bunny. I want to share that the family is incredibly grateful for all those who have reached out through calls, texts, and Facebook messages, those who made the trip to be here today. Jack touched and enriched so many lives, from campers, kids he coached, doctors and co-workers, people he met through Ellen's work, all the children in the neighborhood from growing up, the synagogue, family, and friends. Jack was a truly special part of our congregation, with his sister-in-law Paula being our bookkeeper for too many years to count and just retiring and moving down to Columbus. Jack really was part of first Betham and then B'nai Yeshurun's family. And I know that Ellen is a regular at our Minyan. She is a Minyonaire. Over the last few years with COVID, she's been Zooming. As I said, Jack wasn't a great prayer, but he would always come in the back, wave to everyone, because he was truly a significant part of our congregation too. Jack, we're going to miss your big, kind heart, your smile, and know you will always be remembered, never forgotten. To his family and friends, we all know how much Jack loved you. That was clear. And you know how much you loved him too. He's at peace. He's suffering no more. May his name always bring blessings. And we say,
Amen.
please rise as cancer resents.
Shalom al mishkavo v'nomar amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of our beloved Yankel Feivel, Jack Wohl, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May he merit the reward for living a life with kindness, righteousness, and love. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And we say, Amen. Please be seated. Following the service, burial will be at Beit Olam Cemetery in Beechwood. And then the family will be observing Shiva at the home of Lindsay and Jason, 25449 Bridgeton Road in Beechwood. Today, following burial until 8 p.m. Then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 1 to 4 and 7 to 9. Thursday, 1 to 4. There will be evening minyan services at 7 o'clock starting tonight, Sunday through Wednesday night. Again, minyan services Sunday to Wednesday at 7 p.m. Those of which may contribute to B'nai Yeshurun in Jacksonville.
Ask those who are pallbearers to step forward at this time.